Hi everyone, Dr. Susan Brown from the Center for Better Bones, and I want to talk about Prolia, the fact that the FDA in January of 2024 has just put a black box warning on Prolia. This black box warning is the most severe warning they give, and it has to do with the fact that life-threatening events can occur with the use of this drug. This was found out to be true only for very particular cases, which were people using Prolia who were in chronic kidney failure, and actually many of them were on dialysis. What happens is this drug is a very strong drug to halt bone resorption, and it tends to lead to a lower blood calcium level. This resulted to be very serious and at times fatal for people on dialysis. So the offshoot is, if you're taking Prolia and you have chronic kidney disease, be sure to talk with your doctor about measuring your blood calcium level. Luckily, most of you listening to this will not be having severe kidney failure or chronic kidney disease, much less on dialysis. But this points to us the fact that it takes decades to see the long-term negative effects of any particular drug. And at the Center for Better Bones, we always try to build bone health naturally as much as we can to make those bones strong. But if you have to use bone drugs, be careful to monitor the research and watch what they understand, what new developments come up about that drug. Like Prolia, for example, was introduced to the country in 2010. It was approved by the FDA 2010, and the studies for that drug approval showed that you had to treat 21 people with that drug for 3 years to prevent one vertebral fracture. And the studies at that time, when the drug was approved, also showed that they really didn't prevent hip fractures, that Prolia did not prevent hip fractures. You had to treat exactly 230 people to prevent one hip fracture, so it wasn't really effective for hip fractures. You had to treat 21 people to prevent one vertebral fracture. That was in 2010 when they approved the drug. 7 years later, in 2017, they found, after collecting data for 7 years, that 6% of the people who took that drug, when they stopped the drug, developed spontaneous vertebral fracture. And 3% of the population who took Prolia and stopped it developed multiple spinal fractures. So they were alerted, maybe there's some problem. This drug so strongly suppresses bone breakdown that when you stop using drug, the bone breakdown comes very quickly, very expanded, and there's an increased fracture risk. That was 2017. A couple of years later, in 2020, it was decided that anyone who was taking Prolia and stopped it had to go on another drug, had to go on a drug to halt bone breakdown, because using Prolia, there was a rebound effect when you stopped it, and you had a vastly increased rate of bone breakdown. And the next year, in 2021, there was a Greek study showing a 3 to 5-fold increase in fracture when people went off Prolia.